Okay, good. So we will be in this meeting from 10 to 1 o'clock CAT, and we will have two different styles. So the first one will be what we call the buffet of ideas, or the case storming. That means that we will have a lot of ideas coming from several projects. So we tried to bring together several experiences. Luis, can you please go in the next? And several experiences and around these objectives. So first of all, we would like to facilitate the mobilization and mutual learning among several projects that are coming from entrepreneurship education, but also sustainable education. Of course, our main focus is the sustainable bioeconomy, circular sustainable bioeconomy, but also other experience to try to cross-fertilize our ideas and our brains. We would like also to identify what are the skills and competences that are needed for sustainable entrepreneurs, and also how we can cross-fertilize among those two domains, because the main goal for the people that are here, that are most of us are from the educational community. So what is needed to design educational curricula or extracurricular activities for sustainability-minded entrepreneurs? And then how this can provide ideas, insights, but also maybe new projects and new concept for the educational community. And finally, we would like to provide some recommendation for topics, but also issues and challenges that should be addressed by the future research. And of course, we have the European Commission also to provide some ideas, and also from the education community. So the people that we have here, we have 12 speakers. Unfortunately, we couldn't include all the ones that provided their interest to be in the loop, but we will have a dedicated session in the interactive session for you to provide additional ideas and case studies. So maybe we can organize future activities around this topic that seems to be very interesting for most of us. Unfortunately, Nelo Emerencia told me that he cannot participate because he's sick, and so the doctor prevent him to speak and to participate. So our best wishes for a very quick recovery. And but we have, in any case, 11 speakers. So I really recommend all the speakers to stay in your 6/7, better 6 minutes, because we have a lot of things to say. So Luis will be very bad, very severe to call you. So as you see, Luis, how bad he is, and to call you back when you are going too long. Okay, good. So the next part will be this discussion. So we prepared a nice board in Miro. As you know, to work in Miro, you will need to use your computer, your laptop, and not the cell phone, or at least you can do it also in the cell phone, but it's not very convenient. So please, if you are still in time, to switch to a computer. And we will have several questions. So what are the competences for the sustainable entrepreneur? How education provider can respond at different levels? So who will be responsible? What type of action should be put in place? And what is the level of education that we have to focus on in order to really support the creation and facilitate the sustainable entrepreneurship mindset in the new generations, but also in the existing generations. And then we would like to share and to learn good practices of sustainable entrepreneurship education in Europe. So this is the time where we will request you to put all this information, and therefore we will consolidate all this information in a unique document that we will circulate among the community and beyond. And of course, we are also interested in collecting some recommendations to address what are the gaps existing. I go quickly to the first presentation. So we have here the European Commission represented by Vera. I cannot pronounce your name, so Tavanainen. Okay. So Vera, the floor is yours. Luis, we put all the presentation in one unique presentation to not waste time in changing. So you can simply say next and Luis will change the slide for you. So Vera, the floor is yours. Thanks.
Thank you, Susanna. And good morning from my side as well. My name is Vera Tahonainen, and I'm a policy officer from the European Commission, from DG Research and Innovation. And I work in the bioeconomy team. And my presentation is not really a case study, but I will tell you today a little bit how we understand the bioeconomy in European Commission, and what are the future and ongoing activities that relate to bioeconomy education and awareness raising. Next slide, please. Thank you. And the bioeconomy, as we know, it covers all the sectors and systems that rely on renewable biological resources. The European Green Deal is supporting the transition to more sustainable world by promoting more sustainable consumption, production, and lifestyles. And we see that the circular and sustainable bioeconomy can really make a significant contribution to this transition by being sort of an enabler for the green transition. It addresses holistically the sustainability aspects, and it builds a climate neutral future and takes into account the different environmental and economic goals. Next slide, please. Then bioeconomy is also an important sector at EU level. It covers about 9% of the EU's workforce, from which 75% are employed in agriculture, food and drink industry alone. And we see that there is a high potential for job creation in here as well. Next slide, please. Here I have a small reminder or advertisement as well. So I have a here the evolution of bioeconomy policy since 2012, and as you might have heard, there is a bioeconomy progress report coming out this year, and it will be presented in high-level bioeconomy conference in September. These days are tentative, but stay tuned. There will be more information on this in the course of this spring. Then let me say a few words on the bioeconomy strategy and action plan, the current one. It really puts the sustainability and circularity at its heart, and it has a system-wide approach. It is addressing trade-offs and benefits of the policies across different sectors that relate to bioeconomy. And it has three areas that you can see here on the slide, 1, 2, 3. And if we look at the second one, its goal is to deploy local bioeconomies rapidly across Europe. And the role of education and perhaps also the entrepreneurship education are here a key consideration. There is actually Action 2.4 that promotes education, training, and skills across bioeconomy. Next slide, please. Then for this purpose, the Commission has launched a study last year to identify skills gaps and needs for the bioeconomy workforce of the future. And there is an external contractor, Deloitte, who is conducting this study. And the mapping and analysis will cover the university, vocational education levels, as well as the entrepreneurship education. And this study will be published this year. In addition, there are 3 bioeconomy governance topics under Horizon Europe Work Programme 21. They also have a link to this theme of today. The first one is on education on the bioeconomy, including bio-based sectors for young people in primary and secondary education level. This expected outcomes are to aim to increase interest and awareness raising of young people in bioeconomy using innovative approaches. Then we have 2 more governance targeted topics. One is for strengthening bioeconomy innovation and deployment across sectors and all governance levels. And the second one is raising awareness of circular and sustainable bioeconomy in support of member states to develop bioeconomy strategies and action plans. The last two ones, as I said, they have more governance target, but they do have also stakeholder focus in awareness raising and strengthening connections. Overall, I would say that these topics, they aim to raise awareness of the possibilities of bioeconomy also at young age, to be able to consider bioeconomy later as a career or education option when the time comes to make decisions of direction of life. And the study on education, learning and skills also in particular concentrates on the entrepreneurship education in bioeconomy. Then I would say that thank you for your attention. I think my 6 minutes is full, and I hope that my presentation had useful information on bioeconomy related actions in EU level. And I wish to see you also in future initiatives and events. I'm really looking forward for the discussions today. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Vera. So let's go quickly to the next case study that is from the BioEast region, and we will have George and Marie. So the floor is yours, and it will be a joint presentation.
Thank you very much, Susanna. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to say our case study, which in fact is not a case study on education, on sustainable education actually, but it is more on the whole region set of the BioEast. And briefly, first slide, I will explain why it's so important, this sustainable entrepreneurship education in the region, because the region has some particularities compared to the rest of Europe, political, cultural, and economic, social as well. It has a substantial benefit to explore in this area because at this time is preparing the strategic research and innovation agenda, and there is a space for implementing this new knowledge. The countries in this region, they embrace really both entrepreneurship and sustainability. They are going to give reasons to develop on that, and the other reason is that there is a very good manpower potential, especially young scientists who will be potentially interested for this activity. In the next slide, I'm going to say very briefly how is the structure of this BioEast. It's consisted by 11 countries. They are partners in this project. These 11 countries, they are creating working groups dedicated in specific topics. One of these working groups is the education working group, which are finally, they refer to the Secretary General in the board of the region. And then laterally, there is a communication from one side with the advisory council, which is composed by top advisors from not only from the regions, and the other side of communication is the European Commission or other players. In this frame, they have developed some specific case studies. Marie is going to tell you 2 words on that, and then I continue. Marie, go on.
Thank you very much. To increase the operability of BioEast initiative, the governance paper defined biohubs that were created to engage stakeholders, to inform, to develop or support the bioeconomy implementation. The first BioEast hub was created in the Czech Republic, and what we like to present is a concrete case study where we work with our SMEs. George, you may continue, please. You're muted.
I was muted, sorry. So as I said, in the 7 thematic working groups, there is one thematic group dedicated on education, which we are leading here in Czech Republic. And the tasks of this thematic working group is to align with some initiatives in the European Commission, with the Community of Practice on Bioeconomy Education or other networks. And from another hand side is to enable the participation of national stakeholders, national initiatives to participate in funding activities, in common projects and projects to focus on specific sectorial or regional needs and to explore the potential within the region. Next slide. This is a scheme on how this operates. Marie is going to tell you the example of one case study we have in this scheme.
Thank you very much, George. As we mentioned, and as it has been said on many international conferences, national language is of a key importance. Therefore, our BioEast Hub try to communicate with local stakeholders in English. We try to translate most of the strategies, important information, fact sheet, basically to promote bioeconomy, because however there are already activities and already policymakers are aware of bioeconomy, there are still regions, there are still groups of people who are not so much involved and who don't understand the topic and the importance. We also try to connect bioeconomy implementation with innovation. This comes very closely with members of our BioEast Hub because a lot of them are research organizations. If I may have a next slide, please. We are developing a project where we try to show the type of innovation, basically based on literature, on concrete case studies. We're showing and we're talking about biogas production. Czech Republic is good in biogas production and biogas network. We have a project where we try to do biogas enhancement, and we show how the biogas production can connect local even municipalities, local SMEs, how they can try to use the digestate in a more proper way. We also have a project of composting, so we're trying to show practical examples of new software, how to tailor biofertilizers for concrete farmers, demo farmers, and again to support circular economy and bioeconomy. If I may have a next slide, please. That's the brief findings. We found that what is very important in our region is the cooperation on the macro region level. Of course, there is not much to be done to support providing curricula, providing seminars, doing conferences in the national language. And what we found is very interesting is to show concrete case studies like I presented. May I have the next slide, please?
You have just 1 minute to complete. Huh?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, this is the last slide, actually. There are some gaps and challenges which we have to face and go through. First of all, the education on sustainable entrepreneurship in the region is completely lacking from the curricula in the universities. It's a new topic. Another one is that there is not yet demonstrated to the key actors and stakeholders the importance of this field. There is a limited exposure of the bio-waste related industry in the region, or there is not the contact with them. There is a limited good practice examples in the region. And lastly, there is a lack of interest from investment mechanisms or investors. Private money is not so much involved in the country. So these are obstacles we have to deal with and to enable the particular actors in order to improve the situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I hope that we are within that time.
Great, thanks a lot. So the next will be me, and I will present the role of European Bioeconomy Network, that is one of the promoters of today's workshop, and also Transition to Bio, that is a project that is supporting the European Bioeconomy Network up to December 2022. Next, please. So the EU-BioNet, most of you already know, and basically up to now we are more than 100, we are 102, and the initiative was launched in March 2018 in the context of the BioVoices project, and the idea is to really facilitate the mobilization of mutual learning and to maximize the effort, increase the knowledge sharing, networking, mutual learning, and coordination of joint activities and events like the one that we are doing today. You can go in the page, excuse me, Luis, back, the page eubionet.eu. And by the way, we are now launching the newsletter. So if you want to register, you will be, you will receiving once a month all the events that are ongoing around the community. And as you know, this page with all the news and events is pretty active, and we already have all the partners publishing this. If you want to publish news and events, contact me or Selenia. Okay, next one. So these are the partners. As you can see, a lot of colors, a lot of names. You will recognize most of the projects that are in the bioeconomy. So we are very proud of what we are doing and what we can do together with all these projects. The next is the main outcomes. So first of all, really the collaboration among the project, a new partnership, joint event, and more than 200 collaboration were facilitated in the last years. Thanks to the EU-BioNet, and also Transition to Bio is continuously inventing new ideas and new activities to simulate this collaboration among the EU-BioNet partners. And the EU-BioNet is recognized by the ESC, and it was mentioned as a key player in the Bioeconomy Strategy Update in 2018. And I hope that we will keep on being recognized in the role and in the commitment that we put in this activity. And one of the working groups that are emerging from the EU-BioNet is the one in bioeconomy education. So if you are interested in being part of this working group, please let us know, because the idea is to launch, like we did today, some stimulating discussion among the partners in order to really make sure that there is a good knowledge exchange, but also new collaboration and possibly new projects together. This is in Transition to Bio, that is a project. We also have Chiara. So Chiara, if you want to say also something, please jump in. Chiara Pocatera, that is the coordinator of Transition to Bio. That is a project that will will be concluded in December 2022, but is very intense with a lot of activities, and some other projects have been founded that will be able to continue some of the activities of the Transition to Bio. We also have several partners here, and the project will use the most relevant communication and education contents stemming from several EU-funded projects to contribute to the implementation of the EU bioeconomy strategy with a number of activities. I will tell you a couple of them. So first of all, we have a lot of activities in sustainable education in general. First of all, awareness and public engagement with a strong focus on youth, very young people. So as you all know already, this book, that is the book that was designed inside the BioVoices project, but now is distributing in 15,000 copies, and now we will have a new release with additional 10,000 copies coming from, and then we have the online version of the book. Large-scale events in which we involved families, parents, and also elderly people, as well as, of course, young people. A lot of activities to Okay, good. So if you want to write your names in the chat, or maybe Selenia, if you want to put your email so you can, everybody can contact us. Thanks a lot. Don't forget to register in the social media to follow @BioVoices, because it became in the last years a reference point for all the news, events, activities that are ongoing in the bioeconomy domain. And we have actually among the different social media 10,000 followers. And we have also other activities that are more specific, like, for instance, what is led by Unibo, that will be also a presentation from Davide, is the identification of the future skills for the bioeconomy. And we also stimulate the debate and mutual learning, as we are doing today, but also through other activities of the working group in bioeconomy education. And we are also helping and supporting the member states and regions through dedicated capacity building activities. I have a slide on this also with the link to the next presentation. I just want to present two case studies very quickly. One is this collaboration with the Lazio region in the context of the Startup School Academy to really help.
1 minute left, Susanna.
Yes, to really help the young generation to acquire this mindset in entrepreneurship, sustainable entrepreneurship. Here we have the special prize for the bioeconomy ideas. And as you can see, the impact is pretty high. We also deliver training activities for students and teachers that are our main multipliers. Next case study is this activity that we are delivering. Next appointment will be the 6th and 7th April 2022 in collaboration with the BioEast and also BiRural and also Godanubio Pro projects. We will increase the capacities of the member states and regions with a specific focus in awareness raising, communication, and stakeholder engagement. It is open to everybody, so if you want to register, here is the link. And Selenia, you can also put the link in the chat, please. Okay, I'm done in my time, I guess. The gaps. So, need to inspire young generation to acquire this mindset, shorten the gap between education and industries, increase the transversal capacities and skills, develop the systemic thinking to really have this type of mindset, not only in the entrepreneur, but also in policymakers. Vertical packages that can be injected in all curricula about bioeconomy, sustainability, entrepreneurship, circularity. And finally, of course, to facilitate the mobilization and mutual learning and dialogue among all the community of education. These are the contacts. We will upload this presentation with all the presentation in the European Bioeconomy Network homepage, but also in the page dedicated to this event. So thanks a lot. I give the floor to Stefan. Stefan.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay, good.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Seems to be the case. All right. Yeah, the project that I'm going to present, or the first results of a project, is named Promote Education, Training and Skills Across the Bioeconomy. We gave it the informal abbreviation BioSkills. Yeah, thank you for switching the slides. It's a study for Directorate General Research and Innovation that started in June 2021 and will run until September this year. The objective of the study is the development of educational and training content, methods, tools, and structures to achieve a mainstreaming of bioeconomy into education and training. And this related to higher education and to vocational education. We do not cover the whole of Europe. We cover 10 selected countries. These are Belgium, Bulgaria, Estonia, Finland, Germany, Italy, Latvia, the Netherlands, Slovakia, and Spain. Yeah, the leader coordinator of the study is Deloitte. I'm from Empirica in Bonn. And another partner is the Fondazione Giacomo Borralini from Italy. And we have a task 4 in this study that is about entrepreneurship training. And I will present now some first findings from what we did in this task. This task in entrepreneurship training is mainly to identify, map, and analyze the current state of the art of bioeconomy, entrepreneurship education, and mindset. And we will then develop entrepreneurship programs, modules, and recommendations. So what I'm going to present now is findings from the data collection that we did in the past months. We altogether in these 10 selected countries identified 618 study programs in higher education that can be attributed to the field of bioeconomy. And here we found that 53% of these higher education study programs does not have any obvious relation to entrepreneurship training. So a little more than half of these study programs that we identified. 28% of these study programs do have entrepreneurship training, but it is minor in the sense that it is included in some of the lectures. And 17% we found that has a moderate part of entrepreneurship training. That means that there may be an elective module, for example, where students can gain more knowledge about entrepreneurship. And in only 2% of the study programs that we identified in the field of bioeconomy, there is a principal entrepreneurship element that, well, one then cannot say element, it's a principal part of the study program. That means that it is compulsory and reasonably comprehensive to call it principal. We had a look, or we can break down this by the level of study, PhD, master, and bachelor. And here you see that the majority of the PhD programs, more than 2/3, 70%, do not have any entrepreneurship training. 22% have a minor entrepreneurship training, 8% have moderate. And in PhD programs, there was 0 programs that have a principal entrepreneurship training component. It's fairly similar on the level of master and bachelor study programs. And in master, it's 49% that do not have any entrepreneurship training, 25% minor, 22% moderate, and 4% principal entrepreneurship training. In bachelor, it's 53% none, 34% with a minor part, and 12% had a moderate part, and 1% with a principal part in entrepreneurship training. Yeah. And if you break this down by country, by the 10 countries that we considered, we found that it's vastly different across the country. We found that Belgium has the lowest share of none. So here, actually, most of the programs, the study programs that we found in higher education do have entrepreneurship training. But in Belgium, none, 0%, have the principal part. I will not go through all the countries here. That would take too much time. But you will see that Bulgaria has a fairly, maybe unexpectedly high share of study programs that do have entrepreneurship training. Also in Estonia and in Finland. But then, yeah, Germany and Italy somewhere in the middle. And at the lowest shares of entrepreneurship training in bioeconomy study programs we found in Latvia and Slovakia. Now let's turn to vocational education and training. Here, the distinction was more simple. We asked, is there an entrepreneurship training component in the vocational education and training program? Yes or no. We found 23% of the programs that do have entrepreneurship training, no in more than 50%, more than half, and 57%. And a fairly large share was actually unclear because it was not visible from the study program description whether there is entrepreneurship training at all. Yeah, here also in vocational education and training, the shares are very different across the countries. There are some countries, or there's one country that actually has no entrepreneurship training at all in the VET programs, that is Spain. And we found the highest share of entrepreneurship training in VET programs actually in Bulgaria, and also a fairly large share in
1 minute
Belgium.
left, Stefan.
Okay, yeah, not much more to say. Next slide, please. Yeah, well, this actually was it. Just to, as I have a few seconds more, these were only the curricular programs. Let's not forget the extracurricular offers too, that will also be important to convey that entrepreneurial spirit to students. But so far we have dealt largely with the curricular part. And yeah, please contact me if you have any more hints that you would like to tell. Thank you very much.
Good, perfect. So the next is Davide Viaggi, that is from University of Bologna, and he's also the coordinator of BioBEC, but also he will represent EBU, the European Bioeconomy University, and BioCirce. Davide?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me. And I think I have a challenge in a challenge, as I've been asked to present 3 initiatives in 6 minutes. So I will try to be very short for each one, starting with the BioBEC. BioBEC is a project funded by BBI. You can see the partners here, and the idea of the project is to study the creation of bio-based education centers, able to meet industry needs and to boost collaboration among different institutions related to educations. You can switch to the next. Well, what we do in this project is basically to start from understanding needs, to design these kind of centers, and to carry out a feasibility assessment of the centers, and then move to potential for rollout and replication. We are not going to establish these centers. These centers do not deal directly with the entrepreneurship, but at the same time, they are in a position where actually they have to deal with the connection between needs and the answers from education system. They have to need to deal with the relationship with the academia and this industry. And so in several ways, they have to do with entrepreneurship, including the issues of entrepreneurship in connection between different levels of education, from child to continuous education. Next, please. EBU, second initiative, is actually an alliance among, in BioBEC, we are running now a survey about regional needs on education. So please, Marco, you can copy and paste in the chat the link to the survey, and we hope you will be willing actually to contribute to this. EBU is an alliance among universities related to the bioeconomy. We are caring for different issues concerning education, responsible response for research. We are caring also for transfer of knowledge and relationship with society. So not just university education. You can see who are the partners and the logos and some nice faces from the rectors and supporting staff here. Among the different initiatives of EBU, I would like to mention in the next slide mainly one specific initiative, which is a FEBE, which is a Erasmus Plus project that is directly related to entrepreneurship for the bioeconomy. And I think this is also a good example of how and why university institutions care a lot for entrepreneurship. And one of the reasons, of course, is the need to connect also to entrepreneurship people that are training technical skills and come out of the university. You can see the different activities which are expected from this project. It's still, I think, about 1 year from the beginning, so probably not much output at the moment, but you will probably have news quite soon. The third, that I wanted to mention is this master BioCirce. This master is a master organized among 4 Italian universities, actually international, but is promoted by this university together with some of the major industry working in the bioeconomy sector. It offers an international program with different types of content, moving from examples of enterprises and business activities to life science news concerning innovation, to skills related to things that may support entrepreneurship, for example, funding, starting up, and so on. The main point I want to make about this one, you can move to the next. Besides the courses, is actually what has happened over time in terms of participants. Basically, we recruit students that have, to a large extent, a degree in biological sciences. And in the end, what they are looking for is a sort of post-university training to business and entrepreneurship issues. So we are moving very much to taking people that have a technical background and bringing them to the flavor and the working of industry and enterprises. One final slide, just for a few cross-cutting issues. I will not go through this, but the main point I want to make is that when we deal with sustainability and even more entrepreneurship, we are working on something that is in between, something that we can give through education and something that relates much more to personal attitudes and let's say ways of life. So when we deal with this, we have implicitly to address a number of additional issues in education, which is, for example, the trade-off between education and actually helping understanding personal attitudes, including selection, which is part of what we do at the university. But also we need to question how we teach, because a lot of things that are needed for good entrepreneurs may emerge much better in relation to different approaches to learning than simply by selecting different kinds of notions we try to transmit to education. And I think I will be happy to discuss this in the second part of today, and now I will stop here. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Davide. We start to have a lot of ideas in our brains. I guess this happens also to you. So we will keep on feeding our brains with Han from Avans University, but also representing the ICA-COP in Bioeconomy Education. Han?
Yes, thank you very much, Susanna. Hi to you all, I would say. Just a short introduction of myself. I work at Avans University of Applied Sciences. At the same time, I also work at the Center of Expertise Bio-Based Economy at Avans, and also from HZ University of Applied Sciences. And I am chairing the ICA-COP BioEdu, and that's what I will talk about now. So that's the second slide. Thank you very much. That's going fast. I'm presenting to you the ICA Community of Practice Bioeconomy Education, which is actually a result of one of the list of projects that Susanna presented in the EU BioNet, because BioCan-Do is kind of the mother of this initiative. BioCan-Do focused on awareness, in particular awareness raising on the bioeconomy. And we did this towards students, and that's where we started a network of educators, educators at higher education, but we also want to reach out to the vet level, in the domain, of course, of bioeconomy, because that's in the title, I would say. And you see here the list of 7 people who are the people of the first hour, I would say. You already heard George Sakalaris in one of the previous presentations, and you see that there's a wide scope from in Europe present in this initiative group. And I will present to you our colloquium in a moment, in which we want to reach out to all of you, because we hope to bring this initiative to a broader group. So these are the list of enthusiasts of the first hour. Please, the next slide. What do we want to achieve with this community of practice? I mean, it's kind of a long name, and I think we have to find out something different, because the abbreviation will be ICA COP BioEdu, which is also not very sexy, I would say. But still, it's more about what we want to achieve. Well, of course, we want to achieve real results and not only a network. And it means that we want to develop projects together about new educational materials, about strategies, about innovative concepts. And one of these initiatives would, for my sake, would be around entrepreneurship in the sustainable bioeconomy. So that's why we really meet during this webinar. Also, of course, it starts with sharing experiences, because if you have kind of the same experiences, if you are enthusiastic about good practices, then you really can think about new projects. And that's what we want, of course, to do when bringing these people together. We want to bring the new perspectives in line with each other. And that's also very important. We start from the perspective of the educators. We start from the knowledge institutes, but we want to do this together with industry, together with stakeholders in all kinds of ways. So it's all about which demands are needed, which educational outcomes are asked for, and that's what we want to go for, of course, ourselves as well. Okay, thank you very much, because this is again the next slide. It's towards the theme of the webinar itself. Of course, we want to go for entrepreneurship as example of interdisciplinarity, of one of the items to work on in the sustainable circular bioeconomy. And during the Global Bioeconomy Summit, a little bit more than a year ago, we already had a workshop on this, how to shape education for a sustainable circular bioeconomy. And we already mentioned the entrepreneurship during this summit, our workshop over there. But then again, it's not the only focus that we are aiming for. Entrepreneurship is one of the focuses that we want to have in mind. And it will also be one of the focuses that we will have during our colloquium on the 19th and the 20th of May. And we will address entrepreneurship during that webinar as well, during that colloquium, I must say, because it's not a webinar. We will be live together in Ghent. And I would like to invite you already via this way to be part of this two-day experience. It's the first time we will come together, and it will really be the start of the community of practice and to bring it further. So that's my invitation via this way. And then again, maybe this I'll be coming already to my end, so I'll keep it short today. If the next slide can come up. Yes, and because the issues to be addressed, there are lots and lots of issues, and I agree with the issues also from Susanna and from Davide, who also mentioned lots of interesting issues I think that we should address in working on the entrepreneurship in the sustainable bioeconomy towards it. It's how can you encourage students? From my perspective, it would be about knowledge institutes, about courses. How can we encourage students really to be entrepreneurs? Which is really something very, well, not easy, because as Stefan already mentioned as well, it's not a big thing in the educational courses, and I really would like to work on this. And which competencies are the ones that we have to work on? I don't know whether that's already very concrete, specific. I can think of some, but I want to have a discussion on my part about which competencies are really needed. And then I come to the end of my story. I hope to encourage you all to be part of our group. We are also one of the initiative takers of this, how do you say, workshop. So I'm glad that we made this work. Thanks, Susanna.
Good, good. So again, other ideas in our mind, and then we are now open to Rosen Dimov that will present the experience, okay, of the Go Up Incubator. So another voice from a different domain. So Rosen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone. Hi, I'm Associate Professor Rosen Dimov, and I'm a board member of the Go Up Incubator. Maybe the next one, please. So in the overall, when you look at our description, after years of cooperation in different Horizon and Framework Program projects, we gathered together as partners from the industry, universities, technological parks, business support organizations, nonprofits from 7 different countries in the EU and outside of the EU in the associate countries using the Horizon Results Booster. We worked hard over the years, and then in the year 2021, just a few months ago, we managed to incorporate the Co-op Incubator, which is dedicated to sustainable entrepreneurship education across the whole value chain. We support the investors and the startups in their journey together. Maybe the next one, please. When you take a look at the different activities that we provide to green startups and investors, you could see that we have the incubation program, we have the analysis, consulting, matchmaking of the green startups with green-minded investors, the training courses, the broader information awareness to the public about entrepreneurship practices. And of course, we cooperate in many EU projects. So in this sense, we are also very happy to be working together with you, and the way that we also managed to enter this very fascinating and intellectually enriching event today is through the BIOBEC project, in which we are involved together with my colleague, Associate Professor Darina Azimova, that's also with us in the call today. Maybe the next one, please. The work that we do has a lot of best practices to share with you, including some of our sustainable, scalable businesses in the green field. One of them, Hope Biotechnology, works on the biotechnological conversion of CO and CO2 gases into feed for animals. We have So from Norway that uses immersive technologies, VR headsets, and has their own media about sustainability. We also have the We Save Food from the USA that works on food waste, and they nurture sustainable consumption across the value chain. We have also an event coming up in the end of this month on the 28th. So we wanted to invite you all, and you could always drop us an email. The contacts are on the last slide. And you could also see the previous events that we have organized about clean tech, bringing together investors, entrepreneurs from the whole ecosystem. And the 28th of March will be featuring women-led entrepreneurship in clean tech. So if you have some interesting perspectives, thoughts to share, maybe even some input presentation, feel free to join us, and it will be a great discussion there. Maybe the next one, please. And here are some of the open questions that we wish to open to all of you: how to make sustainable entrepreneurship attractive to startups and investors. This is a big challenge, especially when growth, money, and investment is involved. Investors are expecting a very clear return on investment, and sometimes this goes in conflict with the environmental or impact ambitions of the founders of the startup. Then how to teach startups about sustainable entrepreneurship, how to create this mindset, what tools and techniques, maybe we could discuss some of them today in this call, and how to use the metaverse and similar immersive technologies to make this even more engaging. And there is the example of the So startup from Norway that are organizing different events using a VR headset. And here you could see they have this very nice meeting place close to the nature. You could see the nature next to it. It's really amazing. So maybe we could see how to combine VR and new technology into promoting the sustainable entrepreneurship education further. Thank you so much. On the last slide, you could see our contacts, webpage, YouTube channels. Please send us a message and let's work together. Looking forward to the discussion today.
By the discovery, creation, and exploitation of opportunities that contribute to the SDGs, by generating social and environmental and economic value for others in society. And Lisa, it is my honor to present the skills that you have been identifying that are needed to be a successful sustainable entrepreneur in that field. Those 6 transversal skills are interpersonal competence, diversity and interdisciplinarity competence, systems thinking competence, strategic action competence, normative competence, and foresighted thinking competence. Of course, these competences are used in a very fluctuating manner. And I think that is why self-reflecting diaries, as Kare, who is also here, are so important, that people get aware also at which competence they are using to achieve which thing. So you can really get much more professional by doing that kind of reflection by yourself. So Intrinsic delivered, let's say, 5 main resources. I think it's much more. First of all, we have this our interactive web platform, where we have also an app that you can use as a web app on your phone, where you can have a quick link to all the resources. We have a webinar series. I saw 2 of the speakers already here. Ellen and Marge are here, so hello again from Austria. And you find also the keynote talks of the conference on the webpage. For example, of Alain Fayol, who applies the transformative pedagogical model of Paulo Freire to sustainable entrepreneurship. At least this is his suggestion. We have been developing an innovative tool to track the changes in the mindset of the students over long term, which is based on a tool that has been developed by Wageningen University, Lisa Blum and Thomas Lanz. It's a mindset monitor that we have adopted in our project. We have, of course, a collection of cases, testimonials, including a mindset model for a targeted application or of educational interventions. We have also, based on what we have learned throughout the project, developed a circular teaching model that contains a teaching design tool where you can select different teaching activities from a database. And then we are still improving, but it's already there, still improving our teacher training course. So this is the professional staff development course. So when I think about sustainable entrepreneurship education, I take a learner-based approach. And it could be either a teacher or a student in that manner. So the learner enters the field of sustainable entrepreneurship, or a university, for example, or any kind of domain area with a kind of motivation. In bioeconomy and life sciences, usually the students and people have kind of a perception of environmental problems. They have already kind of a moral competence, maybe, and a pro-environmental reasoning. When we think about those students entering the university, the idea is to make them aware on sustainable entrepreneurship as an option, as a career option. So which changes slowly maybe the attitude towards being an entrepreneur, the passion in maybe being a successful entrepreneur in future, which then combines into kind of an alertness for opportunities and opportunity evaluation. And this is part of the mindset model that we have been presenting in our document. So together with strategic action and the normative competence, and also the theory of planned behavior elements of Aizen, the perceived desirability or perceived feasibility, there might come an intention for sustainable entrepreneurship and ideation. And together with the skills, oops, I'm sorry, there is a mistake in here. With the skills of Lisa, foresighted thinking and so on, it might come to value creation with regard to the different domains, social, economic, ecological. And by this, we go back into the learning circle, in the reflection circle, and by this we improve our intellect. We have been developing a circular teaching model, which starts with the teacher who can do a teaching manifesto. That means you express your intention for doing this teaching. Then you can go on with the students doing a learning manifesto. You can do a student pre-scan of the entrepreneurial status of the students. Then you can go to the database and select activities. You can again do the evaluation. You can use the mindset monitor or the student scan, which you can download as a Google Forms. And as a nice add-on, we decided to add a successful alumni action tracking tool to collect more and more cases over the duration of the activities of alumni, which can then be used as an input as a role models or as an input for the teaching.
Andreas,
yeah, I'm done already. I'm already done.
Okay.
Yeah, so by this, we think we can launch the sustainable entrepreneurship education rocket. And this is the resources that we have been developing. I'm posting in the chat afterwards a very nice video that we did on the sustainable entrepreneurial journey, which is very explanatory. You also see the webinars here and so on. And I will also post the webpage for the teaching manifesto, so you can also prepare a teaching manifesto and take it home, print it out as a PDF as a motivational output of this event. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, and sorry everybody, I don't know what happened in our office. We had an explosion of the internet. In any case, maybe what we can do is that Andreas and Lisa, if you can later on record your presentation by yourself and send it so we can put it in the registration all together, because unfortunately the registration was interrupted. Lisa, do you want to go back quickly to some points of your presentation, or is fine from your side?
Thanks for that. Maybe only to the last slide where there is the program for the conference, or for the day that we can meet on May 18th. So a little bit further, yeah, this one. So maybe just as an inspiration or an extra motivation to come, if you see who's coming to speak and what the program is. And then I'm more than happy to stay in touch if you have questions. But I think I could tell my story to the rest without the slides, so it's fine. I think in that sense. Thanks.
Okay, so sorry again, but we will come in contact with you too, so to try to record your presentation with the presentation. And sorry again for this technical question. So Andreas was already done, so we can skip his presentation and go to Elin McCallum and Urska Pivk Kupirovic, I think. But first, no, so Helen, the floor is yours for your first presentation. Okay, go ahead. Entrecomp community.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay? Yes?
Yes.
Great, lovely. Hello, everybody. Pleased to be with you. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm Ella McCallum. I'm from Bantony Education. We're a non-profit based in Belgium, working on entrepreneurial learning quite solidly. We've been around for about 5-6 years, and I'm here to perhaps share an opportunity for engagement, for collaboration, for sharing, really, which is the Entrecomp community, and it links very much to what Urska will talk about afterwards as well. So if we move to the next slide, I'm very conscious of time. I'm going to do this in 6 minutes, people. I am. So Entrecomp community, entrepreneurial learning is something that many of us are interested in. We take this, really our work at Bantony has been supporting, driving forward this concept of broader based entrepreneurial and looking at this mindset and skills in terms of the sort of the understanding that perhaps comes best through the Entrecomp framework that was developed by the European Commission back in 2016. So with the Entrecomp community, what we've decided, we saw so many people working around the world with this framework, so many different organizations interested in it, inspired by it, wanting to explore how to use it, that through different sources of European money and the Entrecomp community And this is really a global community of people, organizations involved in entrepreneurial learning, policy and practice across all sectors, across all learning contexts. And it's all underpinned by, as is the clue is in the name, Entrecomp. So if I go to the next slide, and this is where we wanted to bring something together to really open up this understanding of being entrepreneurial and the value that we can create through that. Being that value can be financial, but it can be cultural, can be social, looking at entrepreneurial ideas that can be put into action and exploring that across the lifelong learning context. So Entrecomp obviously uses the Danish Foundation of Entrepreneurship definition. I can see Kåre is in the room as well. So hello, Kåre. Nice to see you here. So if I move to the next slide, the Entrecomp community was set up with this purpose to truly bring people together, to be able to network, to be able to learn, to be able to share, and to be able to be recognized for their interests too. So it was set up originally through a couple of projects, Entrecomp 360 and Entrecomp Europe. I'll come to those. And really the opportunity now is this online platform, online digital, essentially it's a learning management system, offers the chance to join and be part of this community, which will give you the opportunity to come in, take part in challenges, activities, to have access to a calendar of events, to be able to network and contact partners, and to be part of communities within it, groups linked by common interests, by sector, by theme. It also has a comprehensive digital library. It also has opportunity to learn through micro-learning and will be coming online with MOOCs. You can share your ideas, your expertise, your projects and resources. And you can also, which will be coming online, be recognized through digital credentials, open badges, and also the Entrecomp Champions Award, which is something that will be supported by the EU going forward. So that cycle of really being able to come in and be part of a wider community that are involved in, interested in, inspired by, or already using Entrecomp for their entrepreneurial learning. If we go down to the next slide. The community spaces, I think, is something that is of particular interest going forward. This is all about bringing people together. So with the different funding that we have the ability to create content, learning, micro-learning, MOOCs. We also have the ability, we have national communities that are coming online now in the countries that you can see here. This is funded through a project called Entrecomp Europe. And these are lifelong learning context communities which bring in both sort of policymakers, but also practitioners and organizations from different sectors, including youth work, education, training, through to higher education, employment, and also enterprise startup business advice. So one of the micro-learning resources that's coming online soon is actually looking at the entrepreneurial learning, these competencies that we talk about through Entrecomp, which I think everybody's relatively familiar with, these competencies and how they are important to the business startup process, as an example, alongside micro-learning on understanding entrepreneurial learning through different scenarios, through citizenship, through history, through physics, through employment. On the left-hand side, you can see the communities of practice that will be launching in May 2022. The European Commission, through COSME, just recently had a tender, which a consortium made up of Bantani alongside EIT Food, Raw Materials, All Digital and PEEP, won, and we are able now to set up communities of practice around thematics. And this is where this is very linked to the interests, I think, of the community here that's come into this bioeconomy conference, because we have here, look, you can see sort of the ways in terms of, we will have a broad group, community practice and entrepreneurial mindsets. We'll also have communities focusing on food systems, girls and women, Entrecomp for digital, green and circular, and then social and creative. So I think these are spaces where we'll be able to bring people into the wider community, but also into then these practice groups to look at specific themes, to be able to network with people who are interested in common areas. We would also, of course, welcome one on bioeconomy, and we can talk about that if that would be of interest. This is something that we can expand going forward, along with the many partners that we're working with on this. If we can go to the next slide.
Aline, we have
This is just an
1 minute,
example of the digital library. You can see here the range of themes that we address through the library, and then the breakdown that we can gain through language, learning sector, practice areas, and also of everything in the library is mapped to sustainable development goals. It would be great if we could have resources from the bioeconomy sector to bring into this, to link into this digital library. And I can share a link for where you can upload those, and we can then put them into the library. But as you see, we're building this at the moment. There's about 100 resources and links in there. It can be anything from a PDF to a project website link to a to something more comprehensive that we can put into the document, put in here, like a European framework, etc. So this is something that is quite accessible. If you go to entrecomp.com, you can access the library directly just to have a look, and you can also register in to the community from there. It is really kicking off at the end of April. So it's quiet, but there is activity in there, and you can see what you can join. The communities of practice for the different thematic areas will launch from the end of April. If I can go to the next slide. There are many, many partners that have contributed to this work, and really they represent a lot of different types of actors from different countries and different areas. Here is just a selection. And I think this is where we are keen to bring more opportunity, more organizations in order to be able to really just network, learn and share an entrepreneurial learning across all its contexts, across all its different sectors. Because I can see here from everybody that's spoken today, it very much is this integrating entrepreneurial competencies, integrating that understanding of skills development in this way into different areas of learning is something that we're all interested in. And if we can try and bring together something that offers a way in to access resources, to meet people, to perhaps access learning, find events, then hopefully that can be of use to us all. If we can move to the last slide. Ultimately, join us. This is something that we will build over the next 2 years with money from the European Commission, and we need to make this a community that is not owned by anyone in particular, but is owned by all of us who might be interested in this theme of work. So open, democratic, transparent, but most of all, useful.
Thanks a lot, Ellen. I think we are a little bit beyond the time. Thanks for this contribution. As you can see, what we are doing today is we are bringing together several communities, trying to cross-fertilize and to build new relationships. So the next intervention is Entrecomp Food Project. So it's a kind of zoom in, and it will be Urska. So the floor is yours. 6 minutes, please.
Yes, thank you very much. Hello to everybody. I have to follow on the last slide from Ellen. It's true, Entrecomp community, it's something nice, it's something pleasant. I have joined it 2 years ago, and it really, you feel the community, and the people are very open and ready to share the knowledge. And today I would like to present you a little insight into the Entrecomp Food Project. What is our vision that we want to do in this project? Please, next slide. I come from the food sector. I'm not in education. I'm not working in education, but me personally, I'm working in Chamber of Commerce. So for us, the food revolution is happening. We see it. So it's not enough to only have few entrepreneurs, but we really need to change our entrepreneurial mindset. So everybody needs to become more entrepreneurial because we need to accelerate the innovation to succeed and to follow all the politics that we see are being implemented on the EU level. So one example here from the politics is farm to fork strategy, and it has the words inside, moving towards more healthy and more sustainable food system. And this word moving, it's really for me entrepreneurial. Next slide, please. So we need to build entrepreneurial mindset already during education. What we notice, I will show you how from next slide, but here that we have a gap between academia and industry on the competencies that we need to use and learn. And the competencies that we are lacking when we have students participating in our project, I will talk in the last slide, we notice that these are the 7 competencies that they are missing. They did not learn them during the educational time. And all those competences are written and defined very nicely in the Entrecom framework. So our project will design, test, and assess some training opportunities based on Entrecom framework to best stimulate innovation and entrepreneurship among students and young entrepreneurs in agri-food sector. Next slide, please. This is our main activity. It's ecotrophilia. I hope some of you know it. It's a really food competition that it's taking place in 20 different countries in Europe. And at the end of the year, there's also European competition where students come and present their product they have developed. Those products are innovative, and to do this, they of course need several competencies. And based on this ecotrophilia competition, this is our resource where we found out the gaps from academia to the industry. This is what we noticed, that already in communication, the pitch, how to do a pitch, it's the first communication skills that is very useful during this competition. But if we look on the next slide, please. Next slide, please. For me, it's not changing. Yes. I just point out here a few examples of the competencies that for me are very useful when I work in the industry, and it's something that we do on a regular basis. So it's every year at the beginning of the year, we set each other SMART goals. So with KPIs to know that we are on track. And for me, this is an activity that should be somehow integrated in education, and that students are aware of this, and it's for them more easy to implement it later on in daily life. Next slide, please. A motivation, just the awareness that life is not always sugar and chocolate, but that it goes up and down. Normally, when we start the project, we are very excited. We have a high level of motivation and everything's very romantic and nice. But when we dig deeper, of course, we come to the train of hell where we need to pull everybody and we have lots of things to do, and we are realizing, oh, this might be too hard. It's harder than we imagined. So just to make the awareness that, yeah, you are on the train of hell, you just need to keep on swimming, and at the end, the train of victory will come. So when you finish the project, you will be happy and you learn many new things. Next slide, please. And learning through experience, for me, very important competence, and how to really drive it, it's to learn how to give and also how to receive feedback. So on any activity that we do, what went well and what could have gone even better. Next slide, please. So at the end, I would like to invite you to our dissemination events. One is taking place in Barcelona this April in Alimentaria Food Fair. And the last, our dissemination event is in Paris on the 17th of October this year. You are very welcome to participate to those events. I will also put in chat the registration for Alimentaria for the meeting in Barcelona, and a short Mentimeter. If you have time, I would be very thankful to get your input, which competence is for you most easy to teach in the educational environment. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. I just, before we go to Filippo, I just want to say that all the contributions that are coming in the chat, the links, we will put all together in one slide, and we will put in the global slides. So if you want to link some interesting documents or some projects and experience, please keep on doing here, or better in the interactive session. But in any case, we will keep also this information from here. So the last speaker is Filippo Giancarlo Martinelli from Bioeconomy Ventures and from Empower Bio Projects. Filippo.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Susanna and the European Bioeconomy Network for having me. It's a pleasure. I'll try to stick to time. We can move to the next slide already. Hi, it's Filippo Giancarlo Martinelli here. I'm here in my capacity as European Ambassador for the Irish Bioeconomy Foundation. The Irish Bioeconomy Foundation is Ireland Bioeconomy Association and Innovation Cluster. We are a partner of BioBEC, Empower Bio, and Bioeconomy Venture, all three BBI CSAs. In particular, for Bioeconomy Ventures, I am the coordinator. IBF is the coordinator and ASAC the coordinator. I'm here presenting today on Empower Bio and Bioeconomy Ventures because these projects are all about supporting entrepreneurship in the bioeconomy and a lot about supporting through education. Okay, so the topic is quite matching. One important remark is that most of what we do at Irish Bioeconomy Foundation, Empower Bio and Bioeconomy Venture, it's about supporting adults. It's about supporting actual entrepreneurs or cluster people. So we should be under the general understanding that these people have a very different approach to time. When we are teaching something to students, they will just stay there. For entrepreneurs, their most limited resource is time. Even though we can build the best toolkits, the best training models, the best pitching sessions, we are paid to do a very good job, and we do a good job, but the people, our clients, they are not paid to listen. Okay, so time, what's in it for them is a critical item. And this is it's a big shift when we compare it to other types of education. So let's quickly go through Empower Bio. Empower Bio is aiming primarily at supporting first clusters, so all the clusters in Europe for bioeconomy, and through those clusters at supporting SMEs. We do capacity building trainings for clusters, for the associated clusters. Through them, we source more SMEs, and those SMEs are further assessed for their investment readiness. And then their investment readiness is used to develop ad hoc training, some of which are recorded, some of which are on live. And then this is all about increasing their investment readiness, in particular through competitions, also learning by doing at pitching events. There are a number of pitching events where real entrepreneurs pitch to real investors, and that's the feedback from the reality. Yeah? So that's the feedback from the market. What's their business case? What's their approach? And a few of them will qualify from the regional events to the final events. There have been two final events, one the first year, and then there's the final at the end of this year, which will be in October. The training for clusters is the capacity building one. The training for businesses is the business support one. We encourage people to check out on the Empower Bio website. There's plenty of material that can be accessed. Also, we are doing a few more events, so you should definitely check out for the one happening next to your region. Similarly to Empower Bio, we have the Bioeconomy Venture project. I'm speaking a bit slow because the screen is quite delayed. So I'm afraid to click 2 or 3 times. So the Bioeconomy Ventures, which I am the coordinator on behalf of Irish Bioeconomy Foundation, has a very similar approach, but it's also building an online platform, which I encourage people to register to, and I just added it to the chat. You can pre-register to the platform for free for a few weeks still. Similarly to Empower Bio, but perhaps even more, Bioeconomy Venture is really focused on startup scale-ups on one hand and investors on the other. So while Empower Bio is also supporting clusters, Bioeconomy Venture is primarily on the support to private parties. We're building this platform where investors can meet investees. Investees are typically startups and scale-ups. We used to call them SMEs within the European circle. The market calls them startup and scale-ups. We have 20 ambassadors through which we will organize 46 or 50 pitching. So all around Europe, there will be around 50 pitching sessions where entrepreneurs will pitch to investors and they will get feedback from the real investors. 20 organizations have been selected for that. More events and activities will be following. Further, there will be trainings. And finally, there is ad hoc coaching and ad hoc matchmaking between investors and entrepreneurs. One critical element, and I'm available also to discuss about it later, but one critical element is the jargon. When we do innovation and we are in the innovation management ecosystem, we tend to use certain jargons such as triple helix, quintuple helix, SMEs, multi-stakeholders, and two-way dialogue. These words are necessary for us among each other to speak. But if we use those words when we approach entrepreneurs, we are sure to lose their interest and attention. Entrepreneurs lack a lot of skills, but most of all, they lack time. So it's critical that we speak their language. We have to know how to speak about seed, post-seed, Series A, Series B, portfolio, ticket size. If we don't engage with investors on this terms, if we don't engage with entrepreneurs on this term, and if we don't teach entrepreneurs how to speak the investors' jargon, this is typical for a startup, it's very difficult to be successful. And this is what we are training ourselves to do and what we are practicing it. And we're very happy with the beautiful entrepreneurs we are meeting during the project. And we are encouraging anybody else to engage and especially to throw in our general directions more innovators and more investors. If you think they're interested, we have a good portfolio of investors which are dealing with us, but we're always looking for new innovators. There's plenty of opportunities, 46 workshops, 1 platform, and 6 open calls as well. So 1 project, but multiple services at the service of those 2 clients, the investors and the innovators. And so far it has been successful, but quite time consuming. It's important to give them value in a very incisive way. And I'm concluding my presentation with this.
Thanks.
Great, thanks a lot. So many practical tips. So you have time for a coffee, and then we will go to the interactive session. So we can leave maybe the slide where there is the program. So the next slide, Luis. Okay, so as you can see, this is the program. I'm putting.
You're on mute, Susanna.
Yes, I'm putting here the link to the interactive session. So we will come back at 11:45, so a little bit shorter, so we can recover the time. And sorry again for the technical problems. So see you at 11:45. Thanks a lot. Okay, we are back. Great. So, Luis, maybe you can go to the link that is in the chat to the Miro board. I see that most of you are already in, but someone is not in yet. If you cannot, for any reason, enter in the Miro, you can, in any case, put here what you want to add, and then Selenia and Luis will bring it in the Miro board. So Luis, maybe you want to explain something?
Yeah, can you hear me or not? No.
Si.
Okay. So probably most of you know the Miro board, how it works. So what we have some panels that we will open one after the other. So some of them are hidden. So we'll start from this one where we have the question. So this will be all the panels. We'll leave 15 minutes for each panel, and then there are 3 subcategories where you can post your comment, your idea. Now, to post your idea, please select the sticky note and whatever color you like, and stick it in the place, and then you can write your comment. Okay. What we suggest is if there is something that is strictly related with one of the sticky notes, you can click on the sticky notes and click on the tag. So in the tag, you can decide, well, the color, of course, and then you can write your tag comment, okay? So that this will be all created in the same sticky notes, okay? To move in the mirror board, you can use the mouse wheel to zoom out and zoom in, and you can use the right button to move on the to move the screen. Okay, so you can really navigate to all the different panels. And we will start from this one. So I will remove my sticky notes. I suggest not to use other tools because it would be a mess. So it's better to use just the sticky notes. I think I'm done, Susanna. I think we can start.
Okay, perfect. So we can start from the first question, that is, what are the competences of a sustainable entrepreneur? And the idea is to try to see what are the competences that are typical of the sustainability education, what are the ones typical of entrepreneurship education, and then to try to find which one are common to start imagining how we can bridge. We already have seen several examples from other projects. So how we can bridge those two domains. You can also cut and paste images, as I see that someone did. And let's try to make to zoom in and out and use the sticky notes in a smaller size. Otherwise, it will be everything covered. Okay, good. So let's start with this, and I will try to pick something and maybe to ask additional information. So you have to zoom in to avoid, since we are a lot, because we are 53 people still. So I see that you are already putting a lot of interesting insights. And so I see system thinking as a sustainability education, but is also probably we will see that most of the characteristics that we can put in sustainability education or in entrepreneurship education can be, of course, used for the sustainable entrepreneurship education. The idea for this exercise is to really start mapping and also to provide information to several projects. We, of course, had some of them today, but also there are a lot of projects that are working in this domain. So the idea is to really to provide experiences from your experience. If you are mentioning a document, like for instance, I see here the document from Lisa Plum, maybe put the link also. You can also cut and paste the link so everybody is able to enter later on the link. We will leave this board open in any case for up to the end of the week, up to Friday. So the ones that couldn't participate, or if you want to go in and to add additional ideas, you can do it. Okay, if you use the right-hand mouse, you can move around. If you use the wheel, you can zoom in and zoom out. If you still have problems, you can put your contents in the chat in Zoom. Okay, so I see that there are already interesting insights. So let's take some of them. So system thinking is mentioned in several places. Foresighted thinking. So to look in the future and to make some foresights. And this is an exercise that also the Commission is promoting in several projects. Normative competence. Do you want to say what you mean? The one that wrote normative competence, do you want to provide more couple of words about this? You can unmute yourself in the Zoom and speak if you want to say something.
Yeah, that's me. So normative competence deals with being able to navigate sustainability values of different people in the value chain, for instance. So dealing with sustainability in an entrepreneurial context means you have to navigate those different sustainability values, decision making in terms of business development based on your normative values.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. Then I see managerial tools with a sustainable development perspective. So it's exactly what we are talking about. So this bridging. And then in the entrepreneurship, that is the place where I see a lot of points, resilience, self-awareness, system thinking is the superhero. And then I have to say that also from BioBEC, the system thinking is one of the key elements. Recognition of opportunities and pricing, taxation, public support program. Okay, think okay. And then business, finance, legal. So yes, the typical entrepreneurship stuff. So maybe IP also. Manage uncertainty. Yes, this is another point that is typical for entrepreneurs. And if you put some references like this BIOBEC or if you put the reference, if you also have a link, this could be very useful for the other participants to deepen the contents. Transdisciplinarity. I think that this also belongs to the sustainable entrepreneurship education. Ethical value, quantitative impact assessment method. Of course, this is an important dimension because it has also to do with demonstrating the economic impact and not only the economic impact, but also to quantify the impacts for the company. So even if you're not only an entrepreneur, but rather if you are a consultant, you need to have this type of competence. Okay. Someone would like to say something? Feel free to intervene, especially the other organizers, if you want to highlight something that is particularly interesting. For instance, effectual logic. Who wrote it would like to say something?
Susanna, can I say something different?
Yes, sure.
This is Han. I'm not able to come to the Miro, so I don't know why, but I don't succeed. So I wrote something in the chat of the Zoom, and I don't know whether it's possible to put that somewhere, but it's more questions that I have.
Okay, good. We will bring it inside here. There is the next question that is more about what type of what is the level of education that should address this competence. So maybe your questions will go probably also bridging the next.
Yes, it will more address the next part. And yeah.
Good. So maybe Selenia, Luis, if you can bring these contents that you find. Yes, there is also a question. Could you please send a consolidated version of all the links? Yes, I forgot to tell you that all the things that have been posted in the chat, we are copying them and we will put them in the very last slide of the presentation, and we will publish once we finish. So you will also be able to find them back, all the links that are in the chat. So if you, and also all the links that are in the Miro will be also consolidated and put together. So feel free to provide some links, interesting documents, or anything that can be used by the colleagues to deepen what we are discussing. I see that someone is putting also images. That's good. So someone else would like to say something? We were trying to better understand, or at least I don't know what is this effectual logic. So the one that wrote it maybe would like to say something. Or maybe
it was me.
Go ahead.
Yes. So I learned this also during the course of the project from Thomas Lance and Lisa Blum, which is a logic that starts with who you are, who you know, what you can do, what is your, and at the same time it reduces risk. There is the principle of the affordable loss. Yeah, so it's for novices, it's a great starting point to become entrepreneurs. So also to foster an entrepreneurial mindset. So I think it's the perfect underlying logic for introducing novices to sustainable entrepreneurship, connecting to the skills, to the goals of sustainable development, which is the SDGs. So we should not leave out the SDGs in sustainable entrepreneurship education.
Thanks a lot. Yes, maybe if you can put a link to some documents, maybe the colleague can deepen this information. So I see that there are already some links, for instance, key competences in higher education. There is a link. All this link we will collect and put together. So we will, if you can, apart from the simple link, maybe put a couple of words of what is about, so the colleagues will be facilitated in understanding if it is interesting for them or not. And this is yes, for instance, this week at also this link that was put by someone, if you can put a couple of words, you can double click and enter and put a couple of words of what is about. So it will be easier for the other colleagues to understand if this is something that is interesting for them or not. About system thinking, that I see that is really mentioned several times. Someone has already experience in teaching system thinking, because it's not an easy task.
Yes,
so someone,
I have a lot of experience in teaching system thinking. I have been involved in qualitative dynamic simulations since many years. We have also published papers on the changes in the mind of the students, so in the understanding. So we analyzed their causal understanding by analyzing written answers they gave to questions before and after and so on. So yes, I think it's there are nice approaches out there, and we have been in this new EPICUR Alliance, which is a European alliance for liberal arts and sciences education. With the University of Freiburg, we developed a course, an interactive online course for modeling for sustainability. So systems modeling for sustainability. And we have held that course, and it used 2 levels of system collaborative online softwares that support system modeling. The one is CMAP, which is a concept mapping software where you can get a broad picture of a system. And then we used the project software that we developed in a European FP7 project, the DynaLearn software, which is based on artificial intelligence, qualitative reasoning. And then we modeled causal relations of smaller system parts. And you can be sure that after this course, people start to see the world as a system. That's what I have learned. And that is what is needed, I guess. And I think we just need to do these things much more often.
Yes, this is also what I think. And I think since it is very popular at this point. I think that another very popular is the future. So vision, falling in love with the future, foresighted thinking. So if someone would like to share his experience on this future thinking. Maybe we don't have this, maybe someone too shy. Okay, no problem.
I could say something about it if you want, because
yes,
we in the intrinsic project, and you see it also at this as a starting point at our teaching model. We use the 3 horizon model of Sharpe, yeah, as a foresighted thinking tool, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that means that so you can anticipate the situation in the world according to 3 horizons. Yeah, the present horizon is the business as usual. Yeah, and only some of them, if you do an analysis of what is going on, only some of the activities will remain active in a sustainable future, right? So you start with an analysis. And then you have this shared vision. How should things be? So we have the Sustainable Development Goals, which are already kind of a shared vision. And in between those 2 situations, you have the sustainable entrepreneurs who have to anticipate the current situation and have to look for pockets, or as Mr. Drucker has said, pockets of change that has already occurred in the present. And you can make use out of this and explore this opportunity for an innovation that leads to Horizon 1, because an innovation can also always fall back on bad practices of Horizon 1, but it should go to Horizon 3. Yeah, so it's a very pragmatic analysis of the world around you, but at the same time, you have this commonly, globally shared vision of the Sustainable Development Goals. And then you look, what is an innovation that starts with yourself, like the effectual logic, and that leads us to that horizon. So it's very pragmatic in principle, but we have to understand that we need to share somehow a kind of a future vision. And that is why we use this 3 horizon model.
Thanks a lot. It's very interesting. If you can put some additional links to deepen this understanding. There's also a question, does everyone have a really good reading on system thinking? So from Katie, so if you can link something here. And George is asking, George, feel free to intervene, all the others, don't leave me alone. Go ahead.
Yes. It was actually a follow-up what Andreas said. The development of scenarios in a foresight exercise is quite important. We had this experience making the exercise for the Bioeast region, and has been published a few months ago. And exactly those scenarios, they really reflect the situation, and they give a very good image on to project and to consider. So although I was ready to say about which is related to the system option, what Andreas raised before, there is a challenge here in the entrepreneurship perspective. Just a moment, because my telephone was ringing. Okay, sorry. That sometimes an entrepreneurial frame requires several paths going on in parallel. And those paths, they have different sustainability criteria. And sometimes coexisting these criteria is quite impossible, because adopting sustainability for one path can conflict with the criteria of another path. So merging or considering the whole thing as in a holistic approach, this is the challenge, and this where education should intervene actually into the new entrepreneurs. That was my comment. Thank you.
Okay, great. So let's move quickly to the next block. So it is on the right, a little bit down for the one that who would like to scroll. my cat arrived. And so the question is how education providers can respond. And here we also have 3 questions. So what level of education? We just put some level of education, but you can put also additional, for instance, informal and non-formal learning. And then how? So what are the type of actions that are requested? And of course, who is responsible? So who can undertake this? So innovation hubs, universities, regions. So here we have, we wrote 20 minutes, but we will have in any case 15 minutes because otherwise we will make it too long. We're a little bit late, not so much. And so the floor is yours, and maybe the questions that have been raised by Han. So what is the difference between VET, bachelor and master level? Maybe we can also put them as a question here.
Andreas raises his hand. Andreas, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I wanted to say something also to Giorgio's statement, which I also think was very much capturing the essence of being a sustainable entrepreneur, so that you have all those different things going on in yourself, and that is why people per se consider systems thinking at the core of sustainability education, but also entrepreneurship education. And if you narrow it down, systems thinking in principle, and you know from psychological fields that humans are a system, society is a system. So if you narrow it down, maybe systems thinking is at the core of many of the competences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So also interdisciplinary competence means that you look from different perspectives at the system level, yeah, and not from a domain level. But there is a second thing, and I really have to mention that. The second one that also helps with Giorgio's, let's say, dilemma is the normative competence. So what Giorgio said, you have different lines of things going on, one more sustainable, one more unsustainable. The only thing that can help you out is the normative or competence, and to decide which line to follow maybe, and how to judge and evaluate with regard to sustainability. So at the core, and from the literature analysis that we did, at the core of sustainability education and sustainable entrepreneurship education seem to be system thinking and normative competence. So those two can be seen as maybe core elements that should be covered. And the next question is how to raise normative competence in people. Yeah, how can you do that? And simply said is at life science universities, people are simply not aware sometimes of the problems that are existing. Yeah. So making them aware in a certain specific domain on cases of problems that are really problematic already helps a lot. So it's not everything is very complicated. That is what I want to say. So it's we always have to take into account that we have to steer student minds towards that, but we cannot put something on their mind.
Yeah. Andreas, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is there, in your opinion, a difference between students at life sciences universities and other universities in this fact?
Yes, I think as I experience it. So that a very interesting question. When I did this qualitative reasoning project, I was very interested in how people would model as a certain system in the world, yeah, from which perspective. So I wanted to let's say expose the underlying reasoning or the fundamental moral or ethical underpinnings of each type of university. We have technological university. They say, well, nuclear power is just like a flashlight. Yeah, it's just nothing dangerous. And then we have the economic university, which says, well, blah, blah, blah. And then we have those life science universities who have in focus agriculture, sustainable production, circular production. So there is a kind of difference in the underpinnings. And that is why the university values, they need to be very transparent. Yeah, because I think this whole institution approach is very important in this kind of education. So the real values of the universities should be transparent. Because why I'm saying this? Because our economic universities, if you just read what they are saying, they are the most they are teaching the most sustainable things at the moment. So, but this is because they sell it like that. Yeah. So it's not deep rooted to a certain kind.
I see several interesting points emerging. So first of all, I think that there is a very interesting point is in the dark pink, the difference between entrepreneurship education and education for being entrepreneurial. The second should be part of every curriculum, the first in specific ones. Do you want to add something, the one that wrote this contribution?
Yeah, that's my contribution, Susanna.
Go ahead.
Well, at our university at Advanced, we've got lots of discussions about this, because we really think that every student should get this entrepreneurial, this skill, the entrepreneurial skill, because you need it in every job that you'll have in the future. Mm-hmm. But being an entrepreneur or being an entrepreneur yourself is something different. I think in some studies which really focus on economics and business-wise, they really have lots of education of how it is to be an entrepreneur. And that difference is very important, I would say. I think we talk about the second one here, being entrepreneurial, more than being an entrepreneur yourself. Is that true?
I really like your contribution, Han. It's really very important. And also in our project, we're focusing more on this entrepreneurial mindset than on being an entrepreneur. And when I had the discussion with Andy Penaluna, who describes in this UK QAA guideline on entrepreneurship education, who describes this difference between enterprising education, which is all these kind of creativity and whatsoever projects. And then there is this kind of shift. At which point does it become entrepreneurship education? Yeah, in principle, we are mixing up these kind of things, and entrepreneurial education in principle combines both. Yeah, so but there is a little bit of a fuss in the definitions. Yeah, what we came up in the discussion with Andy Penaluna was it becomes an entrepreneurship activity when you create a sustainable income from it. Yeah, so it is becoming a kind of an activity. So all the other things that can contribute to the value creation for others or whatsoever, they are entrepreneurial, they are enterprising activities whatsoever. But if you go into the entrepreneurship domain, it's about companies, it's about income, it's about some market, a more strong market and income oriented thing. So sustainable income could be a parameter that defines when it is becoming entrepreneurship.
Well, I think my income is quite sustainable, but still, I don't think that's what you mean.
Yeah. But from a new idea, what I think is from an innovation that you produce on the market.
Exactly. Yes.
It's also a good motivational point of view. Stefan, I remember that you have that you are working on this domain. So you have something. I see your hand raised.
Yes, I would like to contribute something that we also published in a guide about how to foster entrepreneurship education. That is from a 3-year project for the European Commission about entrepreneurship education, and there we took a broad view that entrepreneurship education combines, is first of all towards being entrepreneurial in a way that it fosters the ability and the competence to put ideas into reality. And when you go from that broad definition that is based on Entrecomp in a way, you can also distinguish 3 types of entrepreneurship education. One is education about entrepreneurship, that is kind of theoretical and not yet necessarily practice oriented. Then entrepreneurship education for entrepreneurship, that is that you learn the competences to be entrepreneurial, maybe also to start a venture. And then there's a 3rd type that is really practical, that is entrepreneurship education through entrepreneurship, that you really work on something entrepreneurial in your course at school, at university, or at vocational school. So these entrepreneurship education about, for, and through entrepreneurship. This is something I think one should keep in mind.
All these contents are available in this publication. So maybe if you want to put the links, in any case, those publications are also in the UBioNet. So if you want to find them in the news, I'm interested. There are several interesting points in the how. So some like involvement of role models, entrepreneur as speakers in the classes, so, or guest lectures from business sector in the classroom. So demo cases, someone would like to add something about this? About using real examples in the classroom, so inspirational testimonials, this type of activities. Someone would like to add something? I think it's a very good approach, and typically this works in every context, even with the farmers. So inspirational storytelling is always something that is very effective, especially when you work with young people that are about to choose their future and if they are inspired. For instance, in the context of transition to bio with the UBioNet, but also with the CBEJU, we are running some interviews to young entrepreneurs to really inspire the other students. Someone did some experience in that and would like to share? Not really. Okay, so learn washing. This is nice. Similar to greenwashing, but for learning. So who raised this, let's say, provocative question? You're very shy, eh? You can simply open your microphone and speak. It's not, you don't have to be shy. Or maybe also through gaming. I know that, for instance, in All Things Bio Pro, they are developing games. Also, maybe John, if you are still around, you want to share what you are doing?
Can I say something about the learn washing, maybe first? Because I thought it was an interesting question that you raised.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm kind of curious what this person was really meaning. But I can imagine, because many times you see lots of interesting titles from courses, and for the general public, it means that it's all about sustainability. It's like Stefan just mentioned, I think. You really have to talk about the real contents and what it's all about. And when teachers don't really know what they're talking about, I mean, and that's a lot. I'm afraid also in our institution. I won't put my hand in the fire for all of them, as they can talk about lots of things, but not really about what it would be to be sustainable in this topic. So sustainability is really something that there's not we don't talk about it that often. What it's really about.
May I add something, Susanna? I don't know if this answers to the how question, but timing is very important also. I mean, being proactive. I give an example again, back from the systems example Andreas was raising. I don't know how many of you are familiar with life sciences, but there is a term, the systems biology. Biology used to be learned in a fragmented way. I mean, different systems, molecular biology, cellular biology, or evolution, whatever, completely separate to each other. And this way, the wide picture was lost. So once the concept of the system biology has been introduced, a lot of things changed and even raised ethical questions, etc. And it was a comeback and reconsidering a lot of things. I think that in this particular domain, the sustainability issue should be included from the very beginning, in not to have this come back again, but is a part of it. I mean, as Hans said, in the near future, I mean, sustainability will be a must, will be an undiscussable condition for any system. So have to be considered in entrepreneurship, definitely.
Good. So time is over. Let's go to the next. So John, you will be able to speak here because we are talking about good practices of sustainable entrepreneurship education in Europe. And so go ahead.
Okay, thanks to Susanna for the introduction. Well, it's maybe not per se focusing specifically on entrepreneurs, but what we're doing in the All Things Bio project, which actually builds on the earlier work in Bio Can Do that Han earlier referred to, is to develop a serious game. So it's an innovative way of informing people about bioeconomy. And we do this in a creative way, working with people from across 5-6 different regions in Europe, brainstorming with them what they would like to be covered in the serious game. And we bring that all together with a experienced software developer into this serious game that is actually targeting persons of all ages and standing. As I said, not specifically entrepreneurs. And we aim to have a test version of the game released after the summer this year. That's it in short.
Great, thanks a lot. So I know that there are some other examples that we would like that were proposed to be shared in the first part, but we didn't have the time. So this is the moment if you want to speak or if you want to write. So the idea is that you put here some links, case studies, we already seen a lot. So please put some points, key points, but also links if you have, so the other colleagues can deepen or even contact you if they would like to go deeper. So I see that, for instance, we put as an example the Master Biocirce, just to have a template example, but please put the links, what is the focus, and if you have interesting documents, this is the place where to go. So someone else would like to share his experience, some good practice? I remember that we had someone, no, George, someone else from your side that wanted to share an experience. Maybe they are not anymore connected.
I want to add something here, but yes? I see Antonio has the hand up. Antonio.
Yes, oh, I'm muted. Okay, hello. No, just to share a couple of thoughts about what has been commented so far. One is, well, I'm not saying that that is, well, the first one is about sustainability. I'm not saying that anybody in the forum is thinking this, but something that very many people forget is that the concept of sustainability always should take into account all these three columns: social, economic, and environmental sustainability. If there has to be a balance across all these three. If any one of these three is not present, so the initiative or the action is conceptually already not sustainable. So this is the first point I wanted to share. The second is about entrepreneurship. I think is there is another related concept, as we know, that is called the intrapreneurship, because not everybody is an entrepreneur. It's a little bit like being an introvert or being an extrovert. So being an introvert doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot communicate properly. So there is a need of soft skills, usually for introvert people, to be able to give public speeches, for instance. So in the same way, people can be entrepreneurial, but within a large organization. So that is what conceptually is called entrepreneurship, as we know. And so in terms of the skills that these people need in order to take advantage, to explore in a better way the entrepreneurial skills within a large organization. So mostly is soft skills, the kind of skills that are needed for this kind of people. So I'm going a little bit in circles here. And the third thought I wanted to share is about the systems thinking. I think it has become a little bit of another buzzword. Because many people, I'm not saying, again, not here in the forum, but in many places, tend to think that systems thinking means including everyone, when in fact it's not that. So systems thinking consists in designing initiatives, in designing actions, taking into account that virtually nothing in life happens in a linear way, but instead there are positive and feedback loops in every action, in every intervention that we make. So anything that we do, so it's going to have an effect that, again, that is going to come back, either potentiating the initial action or reducing the impact of that initial action. So, this to say that it's necessary when we think about system thinking to do a little bit of a deeper analysis of what are the actions. So, what is the effect of the actions that are being designed going to have on the whole system? And well, so those are the three thoughts that I want to share with you guys.
Thanks a lot, Antonio. I see also interesting other points that are emerging. For instance, this circular, that is this gamified learning about the circular economy. Someone would like to share something, to say a word about this experience?
Thank you, Susanna. So it's a game created by a Finnish company, and from our actually I have not been using it, but we have shared this game with a university in Slovakia. It's a University of Economics, and they use this game in one of their programs. Teaching about circular economy, not specifically bioeconomy, but the game provides opportunities for creating teams who can select different assets, and they work on, they can identify the strengths of the team members, etc. And it basically teaches about different business models typical for circular economy, and the teams can create their own products or services based on the assets they have got in the game, and it can be divided. I mean, at least what the university did is they divided the game into several rounds, let's say, that were accompanied by lectures about circular economy and its principles, etc., etc. And it was combined also with the entrepreneurship approach. So that was it.
Good, thanks a lot. I see also other points that maybe can be injected in the discussion. So first of all, something that is related to the monitoring. So mindset monitoring one end, but also monitoring of the education per se, so the teaching activities. So someone would like to say something about this dimension that is also very interesting. So how to evaluate the entrepreneurial mindset, how to monitor.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so we have built this mindset monitor app within the Intrinsic project because we wanted to have a tool for simple and frequent probing of students over time. So it is a 10 So the question was something about a challenging situation and then how they reacted. Yeah, and these reactions were classified as either being more managerial or more effectual, according to the logic of Saraswati. And by this innovative way, we could identify some patterns that are more used by experienced entrepreneurs and some that are more used by novices. But what I want to say here is, why did we do that in the intrinsic project 40 months ago? Because there is not a lot of evidence on the success of sustainable entrepreneurship education. So still, and also Alain Fiol in his keynote lecture said there is not much evidence existing. So what we need to do is we need to carefully monitor what we are doing if we do something, if we propose something. Yeah, but this is also a question that we cannot really clearly see when this mind shift takes place. So it's not a linear development of students, it's maybe a non-linear development of a mindset. And we don't know, is it the course at university together with an experience they do somewhere out of the university, yeah, at extracurricular. And we tried to capture that in the app, the activities, and maybe we learn which activities and which combination of activities cause that mind shift, yeah. But we are still in the beginning. That's what I want to say. We are not there. We are a group at the beginning of sustainable entrepreneurship education. And finally, I want to invite you all to use our app. I can prepare an app for you where you can have access to your own data. You can also collaborate with me. It can be downloaded. I can send you the data, or you get an app by your own. That was a major output of the intrinsic project, was an open source app environment that can be simply multiplied to collect these kind of data. Yeah. So I think we really should create a huge empirical data collection on our activities across life science domains. So I'm really here for that, and this is a high personal interest that I have to further support this. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Good. So I think this was one of the good places where to facilitate this type of exchanges and collaboration. I also see it. Stefan, you have your hand raised, or is a ghost from before?
Oh, no, that's a new one.
Go ahead.
I just would like to get back to my to that finding from the data collection we did in higher education, study programs in bioeconomy, that we did not find any PhD program in these 10 countries that we selected with a really principal component of entrepreneurship education. So if somebody could point me to such a PhD program that does have a major entrepreneurship education component, I would be interested to hear that. I can't see all that is written on the board here. Maybe there's something in there.
Good. There are also the colleagues from Urbio Future that are somewhere. I think I've seen someone. They also analyzed a number of projects, so maybe you can come in contact with them. But of course, all the other participants are more than welcome. And you can also launch a call for collaboration inside the European Bioeconomy Network to really ask a specific question, and this could be also effective. Luis, hai aperto una pagina. Okay, so I also see a couple of interesting points from experiences in Germany that are more on oriented in career orientation, but maybe some colleagues would like to share a couple of ideas in this context. So the ones that put this yellow points on career orientation in bioeconomy in Germany, or study on possibility on a German region. So do you want to share?
Yeah, it was hard to find my microphone, but John, probably you also know Norbert Steinhaus here from Bonn Science Shop. Of course, this we have a region here, in former coal region, coal mining region. They're going to close the coal mines, and they have identified bioeconomy as the future possibilities for this region. And of course, they're covering everything related to it, which also has to do with supporting startups. And but what they did is a study on educational opportunities connected to jobs and careers in the bioeconomy. Unfortunately, the study is in German. Yeah, so there's a lot going on, and our organization also did a lot in, new approaches to motivate young learners to make a choice for a bioeconomy career, which is definitely a starting point before you go into these entrepreneurial aspects. Yeah, so you have to motivate people to think about this field of work. Yeah, so this is just two examples from our own educational approaches, but also a study from a big German project in the region.
Good, thanks a lot for sharing this. So I think there are a couple of examples about the toolbox from BioSwitch, about brands, and there is also a B, but in any case, you can follow the link and you can put the links if you want to share something. Okay, and I see that we have to go to the next, that is also the last one. And basically here we would like to start collecting some recommendation to address the gaps. So we have seen several gaps, especially in the initial presentations. Do you have some recommendation that you would like to share with the other colleagues, but also with the Commission, in particular, in light of future calls, because of course, you know that the Commission is always looking for ideas and specific needs bottom up in order to make sure that the project we are doing are very connected with the needs and therefore effective and impactful. So I see that you are already writing, good. And we also have some ideas, of course. I think that one recommendation that I would like to share is to keep on doing this type of activities that can also be promoted by the BioNet, but also by the other partners that participated today to the organization of this event, and namely the European Bioeconomy Network, Transition to BioBEC, the Community of Practice in Bioeconomy Education, the European Bioeconomy University, and of course the tender BioSkills that we don't have a name basically, so we don't have a logo, but is this big work that Stefan and colleagues are doing for the European Commission. And by the way, Stefan, there is this event incoming. Now, do you want to share also this event? Maybe you want to write it somewhere. You are organizing in the context of your tender.
Yeah, I would rather put it the other way around. If there will be a second workshop in that project, promote education, training, and skills across the bioeconomy, on the 26th of April. So if somebody's interested to take part, then please just write a message to me.
In any case, we also put a page on the European Bioeconomy Network, so you can also find the information in the BioNet, and that is always a central point where you find the information. I would otherwise contact directly Stefan, that is one of the partners. Good, so maybe we start to have something to dig on. So in terms of recommendation, collect evidence on effects of sustainable entrepreneurship education, including feedback and successful action on alumni. Good, so who wrote it would like to say something?
Yes, I think this is really something that is a natural progression of an higher education teacher who starts first with an interest in sustainable entrepreneurship education, then starts maybe to do sustainable entrepreneurship education, maybe becomes a sustainable entrepreneurship researcher. So to a certain degree, yeah. So there is this kind of progression that has been described also by Alain Fayol in his papers. And I think we need to go that step. We need to be accompanied by experts in the field, like Lisa Blum, for example, and others who have done the research. We have, as a group, we have the opportunity to collect data in that field together. That is much more powerful than collecting data just by your own. And of course, it will not maybe happen what I'm saying here. Why? And this is the other posting in blue that I put, because we suffer a lot from managerial thinking still. So there might be a lot of creative ideas, but they get stuck, they are dying before they start, not because the idea is bad, not because there are not people there who would do it. No, it's because simply the systems and the projects and ours, they don't allow for them. Yeah. So I think we really need to overcome our own barriers to do these things. Yeah. So I really, and I see a lot of projects, yeah, and all the projects are putting databases online with activities. Yeah, I'm sure a higher education teacher cannot see anymore the forest because of the trees. Yeah, so I really think there is a lot to do in that field.
Okay, good. Yes, I for sure agree. Let's go to other points. So I'm trying to pick pieces here and there. So we still suffer a lot from too much managerial thinking at almost all levels of higher education. Yes, of course. Then involve more entrepreneurs. I would like to focus a little bit on this dimension because it is very important, and it also emerged from previous discussion, the fact that we really need to have case studies or to have the knowledge sharing directly from first hand of the ones that are in the game already. So database of successful examples also and case studies. Someone would like to say something on this, the ones that wrote maybe this contribution?
Here I am. I wrote this database. So I think for my standpoint, like a teacher, I really would like to have some kind of database that I can use and present to students different approach, different way of thinking, and not only my way. So because of that, I really think that this kind of database, it will be really great help.
Perfect. I think that in the presentation today, we already have some examples, but this is a very good insight. Also, for instance, maybe that we could, there are already around several database of stories, written stories, but what I would like to see as a communicator are more stories told by the testimonials or the people that are exactly in the loop. And this is why, for instance, we are doing these interviews, because we would like to understand what are the challenges for them, what are the suggestions or the ideas that they would like to share. Oh, I see, Marie, that you have your hand raised.
Thank you very much. Just a quick comment. We had in a BioEast project an activity of a peer review that was focused on case studies that were presented to participants from our macro region by entrepreneurs who are more focused on bioeconomy, maybe more than sustainable entrepreneurship. And therefore, I also noted the peer review and mutual learning as an activity that from my experience, found quite useful, because it was very active. Because the entrepreneurs were able to explain where they get, for example, the initial funding, what challenges there were, regardless of whether it was a company from Slovenia or from Greece, whether it was a startup or a stable company. So this was a task that we did, not focused to encourage entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Thanks. I also tried to put some a note while you were speaking. And okay, involvement of policymakers and investors. This is another dimension that is important because we need really to create, again, system thinking, ecosystem for the change. So someone would like to say a word about this involvement of policymakers and investors?
In fact, it was again me, and it comes back with the maybe the aspect or the needs for our region, macro region, speaking from the BioEast macro region, where again there's not so much knowledge about the bioeconomy as such, sustainable entrepreneurship maybe more, but because these people can of course influence the system, policymakers can do the green public procurement, investors. There's some new investors, for example, in the Czech Republic. I don't think that they are much aware of bioeconomy. Maybe they are. Maybe they don't know about the opportunities in the smart companies in our country. So that's maybe more tailored to our macro region, maybe also to some other countries. Coming from the Czech Republic, BioEast macro region, I feel this is important. Thank you.
Yeah, in any case, I have to say that involving the so-called multipliers, so the ones that can really or drive the change in one end or be the ones driving, the ones teaching. So for instance, the teachers, I see that Andreas, you put a note here about this, about the fact that we need to motivate and we need to engage the teachers. So do you want to say something about this?
Yes, thank you. Because that was the focus of intrinsic, right? So it was the teacher were the main focus, and what we learned is that also from literature, the attitude and the mindset of the teacher matters. Yeah, and human learning takes place. Deep learning, transformative learning, according to the person-centered, learner-centered approach, takes place between humans, and so we need those people. Yeah, so there is maybe not a better way than having these well-educated people in the system or these open-minded people able to transfer the principles by a single breath. Yeah, so that is really what it is about, basically, the teachers. So don't and that is why we have put in our teaching model in the beginning the teaching manifesto. Yeah, so I did it yesterday just for my self-motivation. What is important to me that my students are learning? Yeah, and you start with a set of questions, and after that exercise you are motivated again for bringing the change. So it's really about the personal interest of the teacher, linking his motivations to educational activities that can be selected maybe from numerous databases, but the teacher, if you leave out the teacher, you will only have databases.
With regards to motivation, so someone would like to say something about how to motivate the existing entrepreneurs to switch. So we touched this a little bit before, but I think that there are several projects that are about this, including BioSwitch, for instance, that is about brands, BioBridges, but it's to help and support already, I mean, companies and through their entrepreneurs. How to motivate them? Anybody would like to share something? Well, I can say something from BioBridges that was about creating connection between brands and companies, and also towards the switch to the bio-based. And I have to say that typically what works a lot is inspirational case studies. So someone that already did it, that had a specific result, measurable, to come back to Andreas, something that is easy to measure, easy to see, scalable and transferable business models. So not only this is what I did, but this is how you can do what I did through very simple examples. So for us, this was very effective also in the context of BioBridges, in which we were more working on mobilization and mutual learning of quadrupling stakeholders to create the ecosystem for the bioeconomy. So this is my experience. Okay, I think we are getting close to the end. So I would like to hear from someone that was silent up to now, if someone would like to say something, a recommendation, an idea. Not really, or you are sleeping, or you are tired, or you have too much meat on your brain and you have to digest. This could be the case. And typically is what we would like to do in our activities. So to really stimulate or maybe this buffet of ideas that is really to put a lot of ideas and to really make sure that ideas are generating other ideas. I see 2 hands raised, Andreas and Marie. So Marie, ladies first.
I'm sorry, it's a ghost.
It's a ghost, okay.
Yeah.
So Andreas?
Yeah, it is this Indian yogi practice, you know, where you hold up the hand for years. Yeah, no, so the idea is to do something, right? The question is how, and how to keep things going. And I like this format because it allows exchange, human exchange. Yeah, it's not me sitting alone somewhere. And for me, the biggest question that I have now is how to go on collaboratively in a certain way. Yeah, which project do we choose to align ourselves at the moment? So, or how I can put the question, but I really like the exchange. I like the contributions today, especially about systems thinking, especially about the evaluation and monitoring and things like that. So how to make something out of that? A little bit, a small thing. No.
I think that this question of system thinking could be a very hot topic that we can propose for a future activity of our enlarged working group, including the BioBEC project, but also through the European Bioeconomy Network, through the ICACOP and other projects. So maybe this could be an idea if you like. I personally like it, and I think that it has a lot of interesting insights for all of us.
Yeah, and I also would add here, just I don't know if Lisa is still here, but because the special interest group on sustainable entrepreneurship education could be also a place where we are meeting. Yeah, and most probably it will be a hybrid thing. Yeah, so there will be also possibility for people to participate from external places. So that is one place maybe in the near future where we can meet again and discuss these things further. Yeah. So Lisa will send out most probably the invitation soon.
Good, perfect. So I think Hannah, I see your hand.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, I would like to underline what Andrea said, I think, as well. I think there are many places where we will continue this discussion. And you already spoke about the ICACOP. I think there were more activities that were mentioned today where we will go on and discuss about this. EU BioNet will be, I think, the place where things come together. So let's keep in contact and let's try to inspire each other in the future as well, like we did today.
Perfect. So George, Marie, Stefan, the other organizers, Davide, I don't know if you are still all around. If you want to say a conclusion word, ideally we wanted to have Nelo to make a kind of wrap up and conclusion. So we don't have Nelo, so you have to to rely on me that I'm not expert as Nelo, but in any case, I'm enthusiastic and this could be good. And so, George, a word.
Yeah,
Stefan.
it was I mean, beyond the expectation, I would say. It was very positive, because not only because of the number of participants, not only the quality of presentation, but also the new ideas which were raised. I mean, not something not really expected, and we have to reconsider. I mean, Andreas put a lot of things, Stefan and the system approach requires also digital background, which is also a priority from the Commission, digitalization of Europe. So it fits nicely with the whole structure, and it requires a lot of analysis, of course, and there's a lot of cascade of information. So we have to put it down and to see how to structurally explore it. Yeah, but this is very positive as a conclusion. Thank you.
Maybe if you want to turn your camera on, we can make a group picture so we have something to feed Selenia. Never forget to follow BioVoices and the UBioNet if you have projects that you believe could be interesting in our loop. Come back to us and we will for sure discuss. Being part of the UBioNet is free of charge, and so it's just advantages to be in. Okay, so I see that most of us we have the picture, so we can take a picture of all of us. Good. Okay, someone else would like to say something just to conclude?
Very big thank you to you, Susanna, for your enthusiasm to organize this event. Thank you very, very much.
It was a pleasure.
You did a great job, Susanna. Yes.
Thanks a lot. It was really a pleasure, and so I'm looking forward to new ideas, and we have several activities in the different projects, including 2 new projects that are just been approved in this domain. So you will hear again as proposals. So thanks for always being so enthusiastic in answering and participating to our proposals. And I hope that next time I will hear all the names that I see that were more silent. So next time you will be more in the loop, and I hope you will be more active in discussing, because everybody's contribution is a way to learn and to grow the community.